commercial moving. We have full services available, which means we will pack and unpack your clients if they would like to, or if they just want us to scoop up their boxes and take them to their landing place, we can do that as well. We have designated a special realty referral program for you guys because you guys work off of referrals. You know how hard it is. You're working for these clients to get them into their new home. And so we're here to make sure their transition goes smoothly. I've done quite a few moves for Veronica in the past, so she can let you guys know how we did for her. But also just mostly wanting to let you guys know we're here for you. Like I said, you work really hard. You want the transition to go smoothly for them. So when you're ready for a quote, what you do is you give them a call, or your client will give them a call and they'll say, hey, Veronica sent me from Keller Williams. So we know already that they are a realtor referral. They automatically get either $200 worth of free packaging material, or they can get 3 months of storage in a 10 by 10 space. So like if you have a seller that's not placed yet, they're staging their home, say, and we want them to have their things put somewhere, we will come pick up their items, take them to storage, pick them up and deliver them to their home when they're ready to go. If they need overage space or overage time, they can just pay the difference. Yeah, I basically, we've got 2 locations in Seattle, 2 in Portland, 1 in Los Angeles and 1 in Arizona. And I handle the 4 states. So I go up and down and I kind of consider myself the title rep of moving companies because that's basically my demographic, of course, and that's who I'm looking to build these relationships with and let them know about you guys. I guess I want to just ask if there are any questions because you guys know if you're using or if you're referring, and if you're not, also just know you should be because they're going to go on their own and they're going to Google. They're going to find something that may or may not be reputable. So save them that headache. Go ahead and just ask them, hey, just in case you guys are using a moving company or planning to use a moving company, I've got a company I partner with. They'll give you some special discounts you can't get otherwise. Does anybody have any questions?
Do you have pods?
We do not have pods. We've got local storage. We've got storage at all of our facilities.
Okay.
So that's how we do those. And they're perfect for some situations for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do like small jobs?
ODOT mandates all the moving costs and the time. So 3-hour minimum.
Okay.
Time starts when we leave the warehouse.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sydney just hired him for an apartment move.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to moving Sydney next month. I told her I would buy her pizza on her moving day.
Yeah.
Yes. We do. Yes. Yeah. We will move, we'll get whatever moved. In fact, we've moved internationally as well. We also move nationwide. So if somebody's coming from Maine, we will fly 2 of our guys back there. They'll pack and then they'll bring your clients' goods all the way over here and unpack. The reason we go ahead, we don't take the 3-hour or 3-week window that some people do. You know how it's like, oh, I should be getting my things in 2 to 3 weeks. We don't do any of that. It's the time that it takes to drive is it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to leave this bottle with you guys.
Ooh, okay.
I could either raffle it or you could keep it for a happy hour.
Yeah, there you go.
What should we do? Who wants to?
We have a special distillery in Seattle that we
cool.
use, and
Oh,
they
shit.
bottle these for us. It's filtered 7 times, and Tito's is only filtered 6. So there you go.
Ooh, yeah, we'll give it
I'm
away.
gonna see-
Yeah.
Okay, I'll save it for you guys to decide what you want to do.
Okay,
Thank
cool.
you.
Michelle,
Yeah.
thank you for being here.
Have storage for RVs and stuff like that too?
No. No car storage.
So you're leaving some of those cards to
Mhm,
give to
yeah,
clients.
Coupons and my cards are in the back. And do let me know if you're sending somebody my way. I want to make sure I get my little white glove on them.
Cool.
Okay?
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Right.
Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle.
you.
That's a way to give your clients really good service, right? Oh, thanks, Paul. And build that relational equity and have another tool in your tool belt. Plus $200 worth of moving materials and boxes. That's nice to just
Yep.
like
Mhm.
give your clients. So thank you, Michelle, and thank you for the donuts.
Thank you.
All right. Before we get into stuff, I just want to share, we just kind of closed out our books for January, and just looking at the number of new listings that you guys all took on in January, it was more listings than we took on in any single month all of last year. So y'all are off to a great start.
For
this 2024.
January,
And yeah,
Pretty
in January.
instead
So
of
like,
April or May.
so I'm excited for this year. That's just gonna hopefully start the momentum strong. So
We nearly
good
doubled the
work.
number from last year, didn't we? I mean, it was like a big number.
Yeah, like normally January is not
Yeah.
a huge month, but it was, you guys
Yeah.
did amazing.
Good
So
job.
good work. Keep the momentum up.
We had
And
people
it's
in
gonna be
here
great.
saying that they were getting calls from their
Yeah.
clients by the end of the year,
Yes.
right? So
Mhm.
we knew people were gonna be, some people at least were gonna get a jump on the year and try and get on the market early. And we've talked about the optimal time to get your home on the market based on the Altos curves of the market, right? It's right now, right? So so that's perfect.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool. Tell us about your class. Or do you want me to tell you?
Oh,
Oh, we were gonna cut that out because Cole's sick. Oops, I forgot. I forgot. I'll talk about it. I'm sorry, Cole. I didn't get, I don't put it out on mine. Cole's not teaching class today, but just a reminder that every Tuesday after this meeting, we pushed it back to 11:15 start time, just so you can, refill your coffee, get to the room, up front. And Cole teaches a command workshop. So the next one's going to be leveraging systems for lead gen. And it's a great opportunity to bring your command questions and just have that dedicated time when Cole is here and ready to do that. But not today. We're going to let him go home. after this.
yeah, just generally the goal is I want to give you guys something actionable that you can do that day, lead generation, whether it be the smart plan, finding paid ads or creating something with designs. And really that class is your guys. So if I'm doing something that you guys don't feel is adding value, tell me, because then I'll adapt the class to whatever you guys feel like you need. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Cole. Okay, and then our Wednesday class that used to be geared towards new agents, our group coaching, we've completely kind of evolved it into just agent fundamentals. So anyone who is in the growing phase of business, come to that. If you're new, definitely come. And if you want to grow your business, it's just a great time to mastermind with each other, bring up what you experienced out in the field over the previous week, and learn from each other.
It seems like the last 4 weeks, this class has gotten really, really good. Or mastermind, whatever you want to call it. It's gotten really good. Like a lot of good ideas being floated around, a lot of good discussions, lots of learning going on. So I think that there's nobody in this room that couldn't benefit from going to that class.
Right. And just
Or that
hearing
mastermind or whatever.
hearing what other people are doing sometimes just gives you like that
Mhm.
extra energy.
100%.
boost.
Yep.
So, okay. And you don't have to sign up. You just show up. Oh, we are switching that location though to the front conference room. So that's where that's going to be held moving forward. Wednesdays. Okay. And then this is not this week, but next week we have a good CE class for what's kind of been going on in the market, right? It's all about assumption loans, wraps, and carrybacks. So if you need the CE credit, that should be a good class hosted by Fidelity National Title, and lunch will be provided in here. And then for the CE classes, it does help to register just for the CE certificates and for account for lunch. But that will be 1 week from Wednesday, 11 o'clock in here. Unless you know everything there is to know about assumptions and wraps and all that. So, and carrybacks. Okay. Rick Gray is coming back next week on the 21st. What is that? Wednesday. So that same day. And Whoosy AI is a resource that we have for all you guys that does not cost money. The basic Whoosy AI, their like GPT version, is free and it's amazing. And it's more secure than like a Chat GPT, for example, because it doesn't touch the outward internet. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should definitely come. But even if you know about Whoosy and use it, there are some new advanced things that have come out in the version 2.0 of the free one. And then they also have some paid options that are all geared just towards real estate, right? So there's the pre-listing co-pilot. There's they'll be able to show you some different real life applications. They're working on all kinds of different things completely focused on real estate. So even if you've been to their trainings before, this one will be a little different. And it's nice to have Rick Gray come at it from like a coaching and learning perspective of like how to actually implement some of the things with AI. Because I know we've all probably taken a lot of AI classes at this point, but actually learning like what to do with it in the real life for real estate.
I heard somebody the other day talking about like we're at this point in technology wise that we've never been in this ever. And it's this combination of the introduction of AI And they're also wondering if the virtual reality, not virtual reality, but the virtual glasses
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff, the combination of those two things happening at the same time is like an unprecedented time in our history, as far as like these two groundbreaking technologies interfacing at the same time. And so you're talking about like the cell phone and the smartphone, all these things that AI is like, it's a game changer. And I just, every time I open up like any kind of like Twitter or whatever it's called now, X, it's just like there's so many discussions about using AI in business. Like, so we need to really embrace this, because you're gonna get left behind if you don't take advantage of it.
And
What's that?
I use Susie.
I've used Tuesday.
I have the paid program.
You have the paid
Yeah.
version.
You want to share
The-
anything
the-
about that?
As you said, the real value with Rick is he's actually coaches a lot of people that are actually using it every day. And so he can bring those experiences to this
Right.
class and tell us what people are doing that might streamline, how they pre-list properties, et cetera, et cetera.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
Well, and this AI was created specifically with real estate in mind. It was made for agents and for our business. So that's another way that it's completely different. So like you can ask it to like write a listing description and just like plug in different things, and it's programmed to like understand. Like you can say like, please write listing description for Lentz neighborhood, Portland, Oregon, going on the market in March, things happening in Portland in March. Like it will pull all this information that like would take me hours to like research, like what's going on in the Lentz neighborhood. in
Right.
March.
So using it as like a time saving
Yeah.
tool so that you can do other things, right?
And using it like a partner, not like,
Yeah.
like it's not the only source of your information, right? But
Yeah.
like take it, tweak it, make it yours, make it sound not, I mean, you don't want your stuff sounding just like, just
Right,
like
like,
a,
yeah. But
so-
I'll use it sometimes if
yeah.
I'm like writing an email, if you've
Good
ever been
stuff.
writing and you have like a weird sentence that you're like, that sentence
Mhm.
kind of sounds awkward. I'll just pop it in and say, make this sentence sound better. And then it just,
Well, the more you use it too and upload your own stuff to it, it learns your voice. So it
Yeah.
will write it like how it assumes I would write it.
Mhm.
So like even changes the like verbiage that Rochelle was, you know what I mean? Like,
that's cool.
so-
What were you gonna add?
Oh, nothing. I was just thinking, I told you a story. I don't know if I told this group this story though, but I've actually saw someone generate bids through AI. I wouldn't suggest doing that, but we were representing a seller, and the buyer's agent presented our client, our seller with a list of repairs and like a credit based upon AI generated things. Don't do that.
That's not recommended.
That's not recommended.
We're
Like,
like,
that
what
was,
are these bits, oh, they're completely.
they
made
were,
up.
they were like quadruple what they should have been. The pricing was like out of control. And I was just like, okay, I would have laughed at them if they did send that over to me. But I mean, we may find ourselves a day where that's actually a viable option though, right?
Right.
Not today.
But you bring up a
Today's
good
not
point
today.
of using AI in a way to help leverage your time.
Yeah.
It's not like replacing humans.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, have you ever guys heard the
Okay.
story about AI and chess, where like the human would play against AI and AI would win every time? The chess master would play against AI and AI would beat the chess master every single time. But a chess master and AI never lost to AI combined. So it's like the two combined are
Ooh,
the best,
that's a
right?
good
This has been
analogy.
it's not science.
Actual
it's
real
actual rules.
science,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
mhm,
But-
that's good.
And that's how it should be used, right? Not just by itself.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you powered with it. I love
Yeah.
that. And it is actually at 1:00 in the afternoon. Sorry, because we have the CE class at 11 with lunch, clean up that Rick Ray's at 1. So, and again, he's from Boise, so he flies in to do these classes. So it's a good one. Okay. What else is happening? Oh, this is not a Keller Williams premiere. This is a Keller Williams Young Professionals national call that Austin Ramey is the president of KW Young Professionals, and Austin Bean is on the board. And I know some of our other agents are members, but this is just a great networking group. If you are interested in learning more or just want to check out anything about KW Young Professionals, there is a Zoom coming up on Friday the 22nd at 2:30, and it's for both current members or potential future members. So if you're curious about KW Young Professionals, young with an asterisk, well, young is what if you feel young, you are a young professional. Young in your career, young at heart, young in age, but it's a great networking group. So if you're curious, this is a good opportunity to join a lot of their meetings and events are just for members. So it's a good opportunity to join and check it out. And if you have questions about young professionals, reach out to either of the Austins.
Mhm.
So.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, and then coming up, gosh, we have a lot coming up. It's exciting. This is a whole month away, but we want to get it out there because it's a good once a year event. Pat Stone and Noah Blanton from WFG are coming in to do an economic forecast. And we thought if we push it out to March, because a lot of you, I mean, I know for Women's Council of Realtors, we just had an economic forecast. A lot of you guys have been listening to different ones. There's still uncertainty. And so I think maybe in a few months, it'll be nice to hear some different perspective, right? Or a few months into the year, right? Hear a little bit of different perspective. So Pat Stone and Noah Blanton always give such good information. Pat will give more of a national level, and then Noah will give a more localized level. Yes, and that's here in this room. Thanks to Peter's longtime friendship and Dwight's with Pat Stone. So that's great. And we'll probably bring in breakfast. We will bring in breakfast for that. So please register for that, just because that one actually every year fills up, like overflow fills up. So we want to make sure we have enough space and food. So please register for that. And that will be good coming up next month.
And on the local level, I think Noah is like as informed as anybody. Like
Yeah.
his is always really, really good. I mean, I've already heard the first version of this and it was amazing. Like every chance I get to hear him speak, I do. But I'd like to hear what he has to say come March.
Yeah, right. Because there was still uncertainty. So, okay. And then family reunion is less than 2 weeks away. Is that right? Less than 2 weeks away. So, look at all our agents going. It should be a good time. It's not too late. If you want to come, reach out to us with questions. We are going to have, wait, do we have a slide for this? Or are we just talking about this? The live stream? Yes. Okay. We're going to be, so the live stream of Gary Keller giving the vision speech and the state of the company with the new KW president, Mark Willis, will be on Tuesday, February 27th, and it's from 8 to 11:30. So we will live stream that in this room for anyone who's not coming to family reunion. So you can watch it live.
And Mark Willis is the CEO.
Yes, of Keller Williams.
Mark King is the president.
Did I say Mark King or did I say president?
Yeah.
Mark Willis, CEO. Mark King, president. But it'll be exciting to hear from Mark Willis because we haven't heard a lot from him since he took over as CEO. And Dwight goes way back with Mark Willis. Do you want to share that?
Remember Mark, right? Yeah, Peter. Everybody loved Mark. So I'm super excited to have him back, especially at the helm, because I think he's going to lead us in a purer direction with less distractions. That's my anticipation.
Yeah.
I think under his direction in the past, we seem to be a lot more focused. So really happy to see that.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. His messaging so far has been like, why are we focusing on all these different
Keep it simple.
We're trying to do 100. We should focus on selling real estate and supporting our agents and,
Culture is big to him.
yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yes. So that will be live streamed. It won't be available. Usually it's not recorded and posted for another week or two after. So it's really great. It's the vision speech is just kind of like looking forward, the vision of the company and the state of the company is kind of looking back of like where we're at. They'll go through numbers and things like that. So it should be really good.
One minute, a comment. All of you are associated with a company that I think is unique in the planet. I had a bitch about something that was happening and I emailed Gary Keller, laid out my concerns, and 10 minutes later, I got an email back from Gary Keller. Tell me how many companies have a culture where the chairman of the board, a company this big, responds to one of the agents, and that's basically, I had no relationship with him other than I've done this a couple of times, but it is absolutely amazing. And I think part of that started with Mark communicating with Gary, but Mark Willis culture-wise is very good forward. So
Yes, I love that, right? Not being too good to respond.
What's Gary's email?
Barry and AW guy.
Yeah, no, like he's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like not a secret. He runs around. Leadership's like running around giving out phone numbers and everything left and right. in the
Yeah.
company.
Yeah, Peter's
Yeah.
was,
Wasn't nice.
like, they weren't that.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was very direct, and so it's cool
was
that he
thoughtful.
wrote right back.
AI,
But,
but it wasn't. It was direct.
yeah,
And so was the response, and he just said, thanks for caring.
Yeah.
no, that's, I joke sometimes that like we can't get better without feedback, right? And so good leadership wants feedback. They don't want just to be surrounded by yes men, right? So I think that he actually values that.
I've been in a couple of times over the last decade, and it's just amazing every time that I get so much immediate response.
That's cool. I love that.
And I don't think I'm unique.
Yeah. You are though, but you are.
But what I really want to know is when are we doing the fax machine stuff, because I'm having trouble.
When are we doing the?
AI, fax machine, aren't they the same?
Oh,
Oh,
Mhm.
Yes.
oh, Peter. I bet half people in here don't know what a fax machine is. Just kidding. If you are not, so if you're not going to family reunion, come to this room at 8 o'clock on that Tuesday, and this will be in place of this meeting. So we won't have this meeting that week. But this is one of the main focal points of family reunion. So you'll still get to see that and enjoy that and live stream that here. Okay, what else do we have going on? Oh, this is really good. This is next week's weekly business meeting. We have a speaker coming in, Justin Ruppel, who was referred by Nick Wilson, one of our agents, who took advantage of this. There is a new self-employed tax credit that can get you up to $32,000. So we have some flyers we'll have next week, but he's going to talk about that to see if you guys can be eligible for it in your taxes and get some extra money in your pockets. So
Love it.
so this meeting next week.
Oh,
We just wanted to give you a teaser in case you're doing your taxes,
Mhm.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out more next week, and there's some flyers, but it seems legit. It's similar to like there was the business versions and all of that during COVID. So it's similar version, but for self-employed, and there's more money available for it. So we'll learn everything about that next week. Okay, let's get to some meat. Kevin, come up here.
I like that we have hearts.
It's because you know what? Oh, it's tomorrow. If you don't know, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Don't forget, gentlemen. Try to bribe someone for a dinner reservation. So we wanted to talk about something because Kelly gets all the crazy calls, right? When other agents are from other co-agents are getting really emotional or
I've noticed, it seems like this since the turn of the year, there's been a lot of more emotion in our real estate transactions, and I get a phone call, seems like every other day, like, this agent is nuts, can you help me? And so I thought this might be the best forum to help, right? I mean, sure, I can jump in and help, but like, this also is a better forum to where you get to maintain your power through the transaction. And
Right.
yeah.
And also emotion with clients, right? When houses sit on the market longer or different things, right? Clients have more emotions.
That's right.
So we wanted to just talk about that from some people who are really good at navigating.
Yeah.
Hold on. She's really saying Dwight and I don't have emotions. That's what she's trying to say here.
Kevin, you're not that emotional. Can you come talk on this one? Wait, right? So, sometimes like you have to help manage your clients' emotions. And the worst thing to do when another agent's flipping out and losing it, right? Is to
it's
get to
engaged
that
in
level.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. What do you guys do? Let's start with clients first. What do you do when you have upset clients? Kevin first.
For me, one of the only things that you can really do at the time is just listen to them. They just sometimes need to rant. I mean, and they're not angry. I think the thing that we think is that they're angry at us. And I don't think a lot of the time they're not angry at us. We're doing our job. If we're doing the best we can and showing the value, they're angry at their situation. They're angry at the timing, at the market, at the other agent. I mean, who here has had an inspection report where they asked for something really stupid? Like a toilet bowl ring? Anybody got a toilet bowl ring? Or a light bulb? Has anybody gotten a light bulb? And has any of your clients tried to terminate the transaction because they're idiots on the other side? Okay, yes, well, Peter's just Peter, no, so they're angry at the situation. And our job, I think most of the time, is just to be a therapist. Just listen. Just sit there, listen. And then when the time comes, there's not a lot of men in this room. Maybe Peter, I don't know if you can tap into this one, but sometimes when my wife comes to me and wants to vent, then there's a time later where we can come up with a solution, right? And it's the same for me. I need to vent sometimes. And I go to her and I vent. And then if she gives me a solution right in the middle of it, I'm like, hey, don't talk to me about this right now, right? We're problem solvers at the end of the day. So we need to take it and not own it. Because if we own it, then the relationship is going to be terrible. But if we say, okay, great, they want a toilet bowl ring, that's fine. Let's address this tomorrow when you're not pissed off. And we'll talk about it.
Well, that might be something to give them more.
Biggest point you just said in life right there is with my wife, or with their client,
There you go.
that occasionally, right now, it's not the right time to respond to it.
Yeah.
You need to step back and relax. You can't cut them off,
Yeah.
but you can say, I understand, by the way, I can give you a call back in an hour or whatever, I'm in the middle of something, just let it settle.
Nothing is that urgent that you can't take care of it when everybody's calmed down. That's what I think.
You want to add anything to that? Client specific.
I would say that as I thought about this topic, one thing that I always did for myself was tried to have these conversations in the morning, not the afternoon. Because I had a lot more energy in the morning. I had a lot more patience in the morning. By the afternoon, I was getting tired. I was getting worn out. And when if that conversation happened in the afternoon, I didn't have the right temperament a lot of times to listen. And, but I think Kevin hit the nail on the head in terms of, you just have to listen to them. There are some things that you can do to try and help prevent those conversations. So for example, when you get those terrible inspection addendums from another realtor, instead of just forwarding them to your client, which is like putting a torpedo in their house, you call the other agent to say, hey, look, I want you to tell me what your people are thinking and what you're thinking. And why did you let them add the light bulb? Seriously, have you been doing this for a while? And I would question the other realtors' integrity and their involvement and how much they actually thought about what they were writing. Do you think this can be actually done before closing? Do you have people you can get the bid? Because we don't. And I would have that entire conversation with the other realtor before I would send it to my clients. And then the other thing is, when you have really, really difficult addendums, for example, it's a bad idea to just send them to your clients. It's a very bad idea. It's a better idea to call and have a pre-conversation about the main things that you think they're going to be really upset with by saying something like, I just received this addendum. I didn't like some things on it. So I called the other realtor to find out what the buyers were thinking or what the other realtor was thinking, just to make sure that I didn't state anything that wasn't consistent with their thoughts. And I just want to go over a couple of things before I send you the paperwork. That works really well. And when you have difficult transactions with difficult clients, you have to roll that way. You just don't send them things and hope that it's going to be fine after they read them, because, you know, they go ballistic, and then talking them back down is an entirely different effort that you have to make, in addition to getting them to accept the items. So strategically, I always thought, deal with it in the morning, because other people are the same way. By the end of the day, they're running out of gas. They're running out of patience. They're getting tired. They don't want to hear just before dinner, the things that we tend to want to present to them and talk about. So getting them in the morning is better.
When you're talking about repair addendum, I don't, hopefully have never started a conversation with a client about a repair addendum or delivered one without saying the following. Going, the buyer, whatever's asking for this, we can accept, reject, or counter. This is not cast in stone, so let's go through them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One at a time.
That's
It
actually
reminds
wise.
them
It
that
gives
they
them real
don't
power.
have to do it.
Right, it
That's
gives them
very
some
good
power.
point. Yeah.
It makes them
exactly.
feel they've got some choices.
I like that idea though about priming them, because right now it's not necessarily repair addendums, it's price reductions, or it's getting lowball offers. And so it's
It could be that too.
setting expectations from the get-go of what the market actually is.
Mhm.
So that when you do come with a lower offer, and then it's, well, we've already set this expectation.
Yeah.
The easy way is just to send the paperwork open and hope that you're gonna have a good conversation, that they're gonna understand. And they don't, not
It's more
today,
fun.
not in a recession where everyone fights for every dollar they
Yeah.
can get.
Mhm.
And so it's much smarter to have a conversation before you send the paperwork over.
Yeah, this
Hey,
is all.
I
yeah.
just received an addendum. You have a minute to talk about it. It involves adjusting the price, and then you discuss it instead of sending it over and then trying to call after they've read it, after they've gone ballistic, and now you have to talk them down. Keep them in the deal. You have to
Yeah.
actually keep them in the deal at that point.
Right. And I think that so much gold here. One, like, don't take it personally. Like, I think we all can be guilty of doing that. And I think, like, you see people who are really successful at getting deals negotiated, and they're really tough. They never take it personally. They just absorb the information, then they react to it, but they don't take it like it's like an offense to them. Right. So I think that's like the number one key there. But that was brilliant. Doing in the morning when you still have
Mhm.
energy, that's super smart. But like calling the agent ahead of time and getting their perspective, because sometimes the words don't necessarily translate. Plus, you maybe want to get some parts of the inspection report to back up what it is they're asking for, to get some context. And like, I think that's all like super, super valuable stuff.
Yeah, you'd see something like replace the roof because it has this and that. What they meant was replace those squares that were bad,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so today, I just think you can't trust the way things are written.
Mhm.
So always call the other people.
Mhm.
And I would find out where there's flexibility. And I always appreciated, before I ever received a repair addendum, if they called me to say, hey, here's what my clients are thinking. What do you think's gonna happen?
Mhm.
How can I write it in a way that it's gonna get accepted versus blindsiding the other realtor? Because they want to get paid too in this environment. So if you figure out how to communicate with them, that keeps the temperament down in the transaction. You have a much better chance of closing.
Mhm.
But a lot of people are not used to making the phone calls. And, in this environment, you have to double down on every call you make.
Mhm.
You have to double down.
Laura, you want to say something?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, don't underestimate the importance of cooperation for us.
Yeah.
Regardless of what side you're on. If you're
Totally.
on the buyer side, and you have a home inspection, and you know immediately you've got a problem. Call the other agent and say, heads up, I'm gonna get bids on this, you might wanna get your own bid,
Mhm.
and let them know that it's coming, way
Yeah.
before you send it. Then-
Yeah, it's funny, this conversation's just immediately gone towards the inspection period, right? Because that's like the most tense part
Yeah.
in the whole transaction. Like, it just organically went there. And that's what I see too. That's where there's always the issues and stuff. And so you're absolutely right. Like, getting ahead of it, calling them ahead of time, and then like, don't wait to the last minute to like send over. If you're representing a buyer, don't wait to the last minute to send over a repair addendum, because everybody's tense. I feel like the inspection period, there's just like tension mounting every single day until you get the repair request. And like, the longer you wait, the worse the reaction's going to be for it. Because especially if you're asking for a lot of stuff that requires bids, you're putting someone in a position to make a not informed decision. And I don't think people make good decisions when they're uninformed.
Unless you're waiting to get bids to send a repair event with bids.
Well, yeah, but again, you need to start like laying the groundwork. Yeah,
Communicate
conversations so
that.
people understand where they're at.
Why are the roofers coming? Are they gonna expect a new roof?
Yeah,
right? We need to be
exactly.
telling our
Yes,
people exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
So when the realtor calls and says, hey, I'm gonna have a couple of roofers go by
Mhm.
the house, you'd have to ask, why?
Mhm.
Are they thinking a new roof? It's not gonna happen.
Mhm.
But who here doesn't get that phone call from the other side? I don't get that phone call from the other side most of the time.
Well, they're not used to it.
I
People
know,
aren't used to it.
but it's all about professionalism and the cooperation part that we
Yeah.
don't have anymore, that we have lost, that causes a lot of frustration and anger
Mhm.
for everybody.
Mhm.
I think as a newer agent, I didn't even realize that was an option.
To call them,
Yeah.
I just had a transaction close and, it was someone on the Sevito team. And her communication was incredible. And I just was like, I didn't realize. She, she would call ahead, she would,
Yeah.
she was very like communicative. And I just thought, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Sharing that, because
Yeah.
a lot of people probably have that, or they think like, oh, I don't want to over communicate,
Mhm.
but they're the
I loved
other
it. I'm
broker,
like,
but
I wanna
yeah.
be that way now.
Yeah.
I loved it. And I'm
Mhm.
like, well, that's how
Mhm.
I wanna be. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
right.
Thanks for you guys supporting that.
Well, you're gonna find that the people that don't communicate well right now will not be in the market in a year or two. They
Mhm.
just won't, because the market won't tolerate
Mhm.
a lack of communication. Remember how the market was when rates were 3%. And the buyers would fall on themselves to get a house. They would do anything they needed to do to get a house. Now you have to fight to keep a transaction together, fight to get them to accept certain things in the inspections, both sides. And so it's a different world. And you have to think differently about how we're going to do this business. And so it's extra phone calls all the time, right? So how many times do you get a low offer on a listing with no phone call, no email, the offer just comes over? Well, in today's world, you don't present that until you call the agent and you say, what's the thinking here? How many offers have you made? Well, this is the 40th offer I've made since last summer. Well, now you know who you're dealing with, right? Do you even want to go over and sit with your clients if you've got a buyer like that, or handle it differently? So calling the other agent when you get this stuff and there's no explanation, guess why they're doing it? They're afraid to have a
That's
conversation with
exactly
you.
it, right?
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
100%.
They don't like it. It's uncomfortable to actually sell.
Yeah. And they may not actually be in support of the price that they've offered. True. Like they may
Right.
not be able to actually, because I was talking to an agent the other day and she was trying to get a hold of this seller's agent because she wanted to write a lowball offer. It wasn't lowball, it was
Just excited.
well, no, she just it was at market value and they just keep raising the price of this house for some reason. I don't know why. And she wanted to reach out to the agent and have a discussion with him. He wouldn't pick up the phone and have a talk with her about it. It's probably because he knows he's overpriced. He doesn't have anything to say, right?
That's right.
So just send the offer then. In that case, send the offer, write a note, let's send you a long email explaining why you're doing it, but
Mhm.
just get the offer in, but
Right. Well, and especially like even when you go back to
Yeah.
like inspections
Mhm.
and repairs, sometimes the other agent knows that a request is a little out there, but
Mhm.
their clients are insisting on it. And
Yeah.
so I think, just keeping that.
totally. Like if I have a client who's making unreasonable requests and I can't get them to be reasonable, I'm going to probably call ahead and say, hey, I don't want to jeopardize my client's position at all by, saying that this is unreasonable, what they're asking for. But I definitely want to have a conversation with that agent, just to, if anything, just to open the line of communication, right?
Mhm.
Because this is something that I've learned, and this took me a long time, probably took me like 15 years to figure this out. But you've got a buyer who wants to buy, and you've got a seller who wants to sell. And yeah, sometimes they can get really worked up. Some time will bring those two things back into alignment. Sometimes people get really worked up, but if they take a deep breath and they get a day to think about it, they get back in alignment and they find they find there's a deal to get done, right? So just keeping the line of communications open is everything to getting a deal done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
other thing I was going to say when I thought about this was, imagine that you have one transaction and you're really focused on that transaction, and you have a day where it looks like it's going to fall apart and you get that terrible inspection addendum, or people are going to the house without calling the owner and everything is going sideways. Now imagine you have 10 escrows, 10 deals you're working on at the same time. You've grown your business. You grow from 1 to 3 to 5 and suddenly 10. How bad do you think those days can get?
Mhm.
Right? They get like unbelievable. People will never understand how bad a day can be in real estate if you have multiple transactions, because they do tend to go in waves, right? You do tend to have a day and you're like, what is going on with everyone today?
Mhm.
Because you're just get one call after another. They let my cat out. I'm not letting that realtor through. Take the sign down. They can't mow around it. You know, whatever. And people just go through waves. So one point I was going to make here was I learned very early in my career that I would have these days where I'd be like, this is like unbelievable. Like nobody can get through these days with all these unhappy people. Because I would have like 10 or 12 escrows. And I decided that for me to make it through the day, I had to start working out. And I had to do it in the morning, not at night. I had to go for a run in the morning before I went into the office. So I'd go out and run 3 miles. It would really settle me down, get the right things flowing in my mind. Then I would go in, and from 8 or 9 or 7:30 or whatever it was, depending on the clients, I would have all those horrible phone calls by hopefully 11 or 12. And the rest of the day I would ignore people. I would only do the fun things. Like I would go, you know, let an inspector in or something that
The
was
fun thing.
brain dead,
Go back to the
basically
internet.
brain dead activities.
Right, but I think that's, you have to
But,
know how to
hey,
protect your
I
own mental
found a
health.
time in my life in my, like I was in my 20s and I was drinking coffee in the morning and doing a whole bunch of deals. And one day I thought, I saw my hand doing this. I was in my 20s. I'm like, what's going on right now? And I just had to reflect on everything that was going on. I said, okay, my body is not taking this. I have to drink less coffee and I have to exercise because it does mellow you out and you can take a lot more grief. If you haven't, try it.
I had
For
a
me,
day-
it was
yeah.
running, but
Yeah.
go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. Go.
Oh, so I was going to say, you know, I've been in the business for over 40 years and I can tell you that a lot of the high producers that I've known worked out in the morning religiously. And so, for example, one of my good friends for many years was Mike Hassan of the Hassan Company. And he worked out every morning. He'd get up at 5:30, he'd go at 6 o'clock and work out till 7 and then get dressed and then go into the office 5 days a week. He wouldn't go into the office until he worked out. And he said it was because of all the stuff that he had to deal with, imagine a company, 5 offices, whatever number of realtors. And so for all of his life, he wouldn't do that. He would work out first. And, you know, that should say something. Do we know Randy Sebastian, Builder Randy, who builds a lot of houses? Same thing. He always worked out in the morning.
When some, you know, there's what's the mindful morning, you know, some people do their journaling in the morning I mean, just knowing what you need to do to protect your
Yeah.
mindset.
And I would say, even if you can, you have to judge yourself. You can feel it. I would say maybe even a walk in the morning. I mean, whatever it is, Pilates, your own little workout at home, you get on the bike. I have a cousin who just builds a lot of houses and he started to have some heart palpitations and he realized that if he was going to get his houses fixed and get to his goals, he needed to ride the bike every morning. So he gets up in the morning and gets some, you know, his day going, and he sits on his bike for 45 minutes before he goes out and does anything. And he said it's made all the difference in his life. So I would keep that in mind. If you think that would make sense for you, start it. You're shaking your head. Start it younger, right? Or start it as soon as you can. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can be walk for 20 minutes.
Right, whatever
Yeah,
that
just not to be
is, but
exercise.
I think
I
just
find
get
that-
awareness
I
of.
find that the exercise actually is the beneficial because when you're stressed out like that, it actually releases that stress so that you can, and I don't run, but I walk, even if it's just half an hour. So that you can release that stress.
Yeah.
So for me, I come home from a really stressful day. I think when I first got into the business, I had 4 transactions terminate all on the same day. And they were all with one guy and it was a nightmare. And I've always been pretty calm at work. I've always been pretty robotic.
Absolutely.
But my wife and she's not in the business. I just go home and like on that day, I just dumped everything. And I learned like he's a workout guy. I have to talk it out. Like, so I go home to my wife. She knows a lot more now, mostly about how angry I am at other agents that I don't show when I'm on the phone with them, but I dump it out on her. And then she's like, well, what's escrow? Why did we terminate? And all these things. And I just have to get it out. and then I can deal with people again.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I've managed to have 4 transactions end in one day that, you know, when you don't have anything else going, it's like, that's the world.
You just said something important too of like, how do you decompress and keep your mindset okay so that if you go home to your family or your significant other or your friends, you don't want to be completely spent, right, emotionally. And so how do you make sure that you're protecting your mindset and your wellness enough to have a good life when you leave work too? So your
Yep.
family. you
And
got
I have 3 young kids that don't care.
they don't care how
They
you're
don't
doing.
care what happened during the day. They just want
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
You know, and
Mhm.
so, and it might be that I drive home and I have a 30-minute drive on 205 where I get stuck a lot of the time, and I call her and I say, this sucked today. This person did this, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm good. And then, you know, I had a early on the career, I had a lender who over the weekend we lost a transaction. And he called me and he called me and he goes, you know, we did this, we did everything that we could, blah, 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 blah. And I go, okay, well, can we solve it? Can we, you know, can we get it back together? And he goes, you're not going to yell at me. And I learned like, I said to him, well, is that an option? But I think for other people, that's their go-to. They want to yell because they think they're part of the transaction. And they don't have those releases, and maybe that's the only thing that they have going on. And they don't have the money to survive and do whatever it is. So I have to dump it, and I work out. I mean, I don't run, so
I don't anymore.
yeah,
Believe me, it's been a while.
we'll go on a run together, Dwight. And but it is that I have to take it outside the business so that when I am in business, I'm pretty chill, and I am not chill anywhere else in my life.
Yeah, and I think that's important to like keep this in mind, and like, you know, your personal life spills into real estate, and and you shouldn't let it, right? You've got to draw a line between the two because your job is to represent your client's interest, right? And so if you're like struggling for a paycheck and you really, really need to make some money, and now you're faced with a kind of a moral dilemma about how you're going to handle a real estate transaction, you're not in a good place to make a decision or help your client, right? So you've got to make that tough decision if you want to be in this business for the long term, and that's put your clients first. Okay. So put that away. Always do that. Never bring your problems into your real estate. It's hard enough. Selling real estate's hard enough without bringing your baggage into it. Right. So leave it out. And like, that's a key to long-term success.
Yeah, I would add a couple things. So one, I would not go home and talk about real estate to my wife. I never did.
You gotta
And
know
that-
your wife or no, yeah.
Well, she was with my
You know,
kids
doesn't
during the day, and so she was tired and like it would not work. So
My wife right now just wants to hear another adult talk.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. Like, we got 2 4-year-olds and a 1-year-old. And
She wants to use a grown-up voice.
yeah,
yeah.
I don't care what you talk to me about. Say it. Just say
Yeah.
anything.
I think you have to decide. I chose not to. Which leads me to something I think is really, really important. I've said it many times in meetings that we've had. When the market is really, really difficult, you need people around you that you can talk to about these problems.
Yeah.
And if you're, you know, this is what I think is the value of Keller Williams with the physical office, with a group of people, a large enough group of people that you can create some friendships where you can get on the phone with somebody and, you know, try and figure out what the solutions are. And because talking your problems out does tend to make you feel better. And if you can talk to a few people, you probably can get solutions to your problem that you never thought about. Remember, when we get really emotional, the brain doesn't work very well. So you're not going to do your best creative thinking if you're really, really uptight about something. That the solutions just don't come through unless you can get your temperature back down to the point where you can think creatively. And so have people that you can go to. I know in the 80s when rates went up to 18%, I had a coffee group of 5 guys, and we would meet every week and we would all bring a list. We learned to bring a list of things that we needed to talk through with each other to get ideas. We did it religiously when the rates went from 10, 11 to 18 and then back down to 10 over 2.5 years or 3 years. So that was something that really was a lifeline for me, was just having a group that I could talk to these things about to get their ideas.
Yeah.
So that would
Such
be
a good
another good
point,
thing.
right? To use your peers. I mean, who else understands like like you were saying, like when your wife's like, what's an escrow, right? Who else understands the nuances of navigating difficult other agents or clients or situations than your peers? I know.
Mastermind exactly is what it was.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would add one more thing, and then I'm probably out of good ideas.
Yeah, okay.
So,
I don't even need my notes. You do. You took us a direction, but it's a good one.
one thing I've advised to people, because I've seen this throughout my career over and over again, is to have a hobby, have something that you can do that completely takes your mind off real estate. And it might be your kids. So I keep walking into the door.
They're not.
Yeah, so they have a new problem.
Yeah, they're little terrorists sometimes.
But for me, I remember when I was young and it was in the early 80s and everything was so hard to do. It's hard to keep deals together. It's hard to find buyers at 15% interest. I tried to figure out how I could get through the day and keep my energy level up. And there was an opportunity for me to coach basketball to a local high school. And somebody had told me about it. So I volunteered to do it. And I realized that when I walked into the gym, where I had to have my basketball face on, whatever was in my life was no longer a thought in my life. For 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours, I was with those people. I was all in on what I needed to do, and it purged me of all the crap that went on during the day. It literally, I just felt so relieved. And I'd come out and I'd think, wow, why did those things bother me so much? I did a lot of reflection on that. And so I learned that you need to have something in your life. If you want to do real estate at a high level, in other words, maybe 20 deals a year or something, where you have multiple escrows and multiple listings where they can all go wrong at once. You need to have something that completely takes your mind off of work. I mean, totally and completely. If you go walking and all you do is think about the problems, it's not the right activity. It's got to be something else. And I was going to say, how many people know Kathy Hall here? She's one of the top producers in Portland for many years. Her thing was gardening. One day I went over and saw her garden. They had 3/4 of an acre and it was like flowers everywhere. And she said, that's what I do. When the market gets tough, I go home early in the day and I get my stuff on and I just go out in the garden, and that relieves everything that I'm worrying about. And so for Mike Hassan, who's a good friend of mine that had a lot of things going, he coached soccer. He started before his girls were playing, then while his girls were playing, and then after they were playing. He coached soccer in the afternoons and on the weekends. And that was his outlet of, this distraction from all of the things that were going on at work. And so I would just advise that you find something that you can do that you won't give up if, you have problems to solve. You just won't give it up. You're going to do it. And it's that important.
So Dwight,
Yeah.
well,
Tell us more about that. What's your strategy, Pam?
I think we're not, like I think that I'm right, you're like, hey, I'm gonna go sit down for an hour. That all of us do the same thing,
Mhm.
pull this out, it's always attached to us. That time that we need this phone, it needs to go quickly away, and I'm saying this, but I'm not good at it, I don't think any of us are. But this is the cause of a lot of just stress and mental, emotional, physical, psychological, it's this. And it's our best friend, and it needed to be, but it's also our worst enemy, so.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting.
One of my sons, it was playing in a baseball game, and I was on my phone, and Jackson, if you know, I said, yells from the field, "Mom, stop looking at your phone." And I was like, oh my gosh, like, you have those moments that hit you that like, you're like,
Watch me.
Yeah, but it hits you, right? That you're like, your kids are watching if you're not being present. And if you're out to dinner with friends or.
Here, and that's like, you get that.
Yeah.
It's not gonna miss their goal. So it's like, be present, and where you're at is where you're at, and this can be in your pocket when you're watching your kids.
so
Such a good reminder.
just the last thing that I would like to say,
Yeah.
just with that, like, you're a professional, right? Like, we are the professional. During the transaction, we're the professional, but that also means we have professional hours. Like, we think that we have to be on 24/7, when they
Yeah,
call.
just start
at
here. Yeah.
in the morning because of this, blah, 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 blah.
Might be a long day.
We're the professional. In the transaction, we're the professional with the other agent. Like I see it.
Yeah,
so-
just let me know.
If I have a trigger that's gonna make me yell at somebody, it's the incompetency on the other side and not being a professional.
Mhm.
Because you are also a professional. We are in a profession together. We're doing the same thing. You need to be the professional in this whole thing. Dwight's gonna give you the advice to do the hobby and be outside, but during the transaction, be the professional like you are.
Mhm.
And if you are, you can avoid so much of this crap. It is. And then the turning off, like I'm afraid to turn my phone off. Like what happens if I turn my phone off?
Mhm.
Nothing.
I know. Nothing. My kids don't care. They're happier, right? My wife is happier and I actually get a break. Right?
Your clients think they're professional.
Mhm.
Yeah. Right?
I learned
Right.
long ago, there's no such thing as a real estate emergency.
Mhm.
You know, yes, there's a deadline and I have to perform for that. That means I plan ahead.
Yeah.
And if the other side doesn't hit that deadline,
Yeah.
okay. Me sending 17 text messages probably isn't gonna make them do anything different. And likewise, them sending me 17 text messages. No, thankfully Kelly's been handling that.
Yeah,
Okay,
unfortunately, Mark,
God,
unfortunately, Mark is,
inspired this meeting, Mark.
not entirely,
Like-
not entirely, Mark, not entirely.
Yeah, where's the vodka for you?
Oh my gosh.
Give yourself boundaries and respect those boundaries, because just because we work our butts off doesn't mean we do that 24/7. There's a reason that sign says God, family, business.
Mhm.
It comes after the first two.
Yes, and just protecting yourself, especially, so you can be in this career for the long haul, right? And not burn out. And say, oh, I'm doing great, but I never see my family, right? You gotta
Mhm.
have that
Right.
balance. So, yes.
I was just listening to a podcast on the way in, and they were talking about like constantly being available versus bringing value. And so our value isn't constantly being available, it's being professional and bringing value.
Love that.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think it almost diminishes our value to just be so constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like these phones were designed to make us more efficient, not to make us work more, right? So you got to keep that in mind. And like, yeah, there's times when I wholeheartedly think you guys should answer the phone after hours, right? But you know when that situation is, right? It's not every phone call needs to be answered after hours, right?
Every phone call at every hour, right?
Yeah, that's not the case always. Like sometimes it can wait. And so just you'll know when the time is. Don't feel slave to the phone, right?
And I love that you just brought up that value, because it's kind of like everything we've been talking about with representing your buyers and showing your value. And like, if you don't have other value, then maybe your availability is your value. But if you have your other value that you've shown
Mhm.
and the professionalism, then you can do that.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like a trade-off.
I agree.
Good discussion today. We didn't really talk too much about other agents that are angry, but we were really just going to talk about setting boundaries with those
Yeah.
yourself. So that's kind of
Yeah,
good.
don't let someone be harsh towards you. Don't let someone talk poorly to you. Like have self-respect, give them a warning, say, hey, you're not going to talk to me like this. I want to have a productive conversation, but when you're yelling at me or when you're, insulting me, whatever it is, say, I'm not going to do this. And if they do it again, say, okay, I told you I wasn't going to do this. Let's pick this phone call up again later when you can be calm. And that gives you a lot of power. You never feel so good ending a conversation under those circumstances. And it always works. It always works.
Mhm.
Yeah, you totally win.
You
Yes.
absolutely win.
You win.
Mark and then Veronica.
And I just do want to say publicly, Kelly, thank you
Oh.
for taking on. I had a difficult situation that I simply said, I don't have the bandwidth to handle this given the circumstances.
Yeah.
And accolades to Kelly for taking. it
Well,
on.
I don't know that anybody has a bandwidth for her. It'd have to be your only job.
Say her name.
Oh my gosh, Veronica.
Put her
It's
on the
not
blacklist.
Veronica.
No, I just used to love it when Bob would always say, and people would scream, I am not a principal to this transaction. And
Yeah.
that Shuts it down. Where is this emotion coming from?
Right.
I mean, I know it's a paycheck, but.
Yeah.
These are decisions that really aren't yours. Right.
That's
Right.
great advice.
Right. Dwight said some funny advice when he would have, if there was ever an agent yelling at him. Do you remember what you told me you did?
No, go ahead. I remember.
Oh. He would just hang up.
That's so good.
They just need to cool down. I'll just hang
Yeah.
up. I'm not gonna listen to that if they're ranting.
I didn't do that very much, but I did have some transactions with some people that really, really lost it and realtors. And I didn't have a big problem hanging up with realtors that I didn't like or that were giving me a bad time all the way through the deal. And so I have hung up on people, and then I've called them back and said, hey, have you cooled off?
Are you ready to get out of
Are you
time?
ready to have, are you ready to have, exactly.
Yeah.
Are you ready to have a conversation? Because this is not gonna, you yelling at me is not gonna solve anything.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good.
And it really works.
It does.
That's good.
I like to,
Yeah.
I like to stay unusually quiet while they're screaming,
Oh, yeah.
and then awkwardly so until they finally go, hello? I go, oh yeah, I was just giving you the opportunity to finish. Are you done?
Good, yeah.
That's very disarming too.
Well, and then-
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm done. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
just
So,
not
like, that's
engaging,
me
yeah.
To blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
That's great,
But then
right?
I feel stupid, like, oh, yeah. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm being crazy,
Yeah.
right?
it's back to they just have to vent.
Yeah. One last thing to end with, I didn't want to do this earlier because it's too sad. But last week we did lose one of our agents, Alex Londero, who was a commercial agent who sat at our Lake Oswego office. He has been here for over 5 years and he's been with Keller Williams since 2003. So he's been around for a long time. Many of you guys knew him, but we're going to be doing a celebration of his life at Hefe's in Lake Oswego 2 Fridays from now. So, no, wait, a week from Friday.
Week from
One other
Friday,
thing,
actually.
a week from Friday. So not this Friday, but the next Friday at 2:00. We have like an area reserved and to just kind of maybe share good memories of Alex and honor his life.
Yeah, have a toast, Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Peter, you're ruining the moment. Just kidding.
I mean,
I'm just kidding.
That's what I do.
Oh my gosh. But yes, we hope,
Back when you want to have a conversation about that.
we hope that you all will come and support Alex, especially if you have memories of him to share. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony, for being here too. Our president.
You also pronounce it.
He does prefer actual checks.
I do too. I like to take them into the bank.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I reconcile mine every once in a while, but I don't do it.
Yeah.
I don't do it like
I,
every time I write a check. I like, yeah.
last time you wrote a check, not at a business.
I'll write one
It's
check.
been a while, but I write reconcile it every 2 months.
What do I write? Do I
So,
write each? I don't know
3
if I
months,
write
some-
any anymore.
yeah,
I
yeah,
used
yeah.
to write one to our cleaners and now our cleaners I bend them.
Yeah.
That's, so I literally don't do
Yeah.
any.
So in our old brokerage, the only time they let you check was if it was over 20.
Oh, why, to make a big thing of it?
No,
Yeah, just
because they
cut the
couldn't.
Oh, they couldn't, like, what?
ATM it.
Interesting.
Yeah, right, whatever, ACH it, so.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Here's Bob. Here's a God.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good. Good. Good to see you,
Thanks, sir.
Peter. Thank you for covering me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was
Yeah.
gonna send you a bunch of videos here as soon as I can break free. but I'm still trying to get everything to State Farm. But bottom line is the tree broke,
Yeah.
hit the side of the building, crunched it, landed on the roof. And so the rain was coming. This was when the freeze happened. It was
Yeah.
beautiful sunny skies. So I paid $10,000 to lift the tree off